In this video, we'll look at all the factoring methods we've learned so far and develop a factoring strategy for any given problem. Remember to always look for the greatest common factor first. For every problem, look for a common factor. Some will have one, some will not. After we've done that, we'll group these problems that we need to factor into how many terms they have. Okay, so if it's two terms that you're dealing with, then most likely you're dealing with the difference of squares, or there's a chance you're dealing with the difference of squares. Recall the difference of squares will be a perfect square minus another perfect square, which will always factor like that. If you're dealing with three terms, then we'll use the AC method. For example, x squared minus x minus 20, I would try and find two numbers that multiply together to give you negative 20 and add together to give you negative 1. In this case, negative 5 and 4. Okay, and when our A term is 1, we've learned there's a shortcut for this. You don't have to go through that whole AC process. You can just multiply, or you can just go right to your factoring. X minus 5, x plus 4. Okay, that's how x squared minus x minus 20 factors. Now, we've also learned another case when there's three terms, and that's if it's a perfect square. All right, so recall how we identify that. An example would look like this, and the two numbers would have to multiply to be 25 and have to add to be 10. And you can see that those are the same number. Right? And if that's the case, we knew it was a perfect square. Factor like that. So if it's three terms, two things to look for. If it's four terms, then most likely you're dealing with factoring by grouping. An example would be four terms there, so we split this up, factor the common factor out of the first two, which in this case is x. Sorry, x squared. So I factor out the x squared, and what does that leave me with? X minus 1. And then I factor the common factor out of the second two, which in this case will be negative 2, and I get x minus 1. And then my common factor is now a binomial, so I factor that out, and I factor out the x squared minus 2, and I can't do anything further with that. So let's take a look at a couple more examples. Which method would you use? Well, again, I look for a GCF. In this case, there is none, but I see that it's two terms. So once I see that it's two terms, I identify that it's the difference of two squares, right? The square root of 25x squared is 5x, and the square root of 16 is 4. And that would factor like that. How about this case? It looks similar to the last one, but I can see that there's a common factor. We always look for the common factor, in this case x. So I factor out the x, leaves me with 25x squared minus 16. That should look familiar because that one we just factored. Okay, so in this case I'd have to go a step further and then factor the difference of squares after I've factored out the greatest common factor. I see this right away as three terms, and in fact I use this on my first slide. You can see once these three terms, you're using the AC method, or our shortcut AC method. Two numbers that multiply together to give you negative 20 and add together to give you negative 1 would be negative 5 and positive 4. Positive 4. Next example, you can see clearly have 4 terms, so I'm thinking grouping. Factor out the y, x plus 2, factor out the 5, x plus 2, common factor, x plus 2.